Welcome to the Emotional Endurance Movement, where we chit-chat about how we're staying regulated in a very dysregulating world.
Come along with us as we deal with life's messiness.
I'm Laurie Sharp-Page.
And I'm Crimson MacDonald. And this week we're talking about
I cannot even tell you how many times I've heard the little therapist that lives in my freaking head be like, girl, it's time to regulate. And I'm like,
no,
what? No,
pass.
And unfortunately, she is usually right. I would say 99.9% of the time. But I'm still human. You would think that we would have this coping thing all figured out. And we do have a lot of it figured out. But the truth is that it's always a little messy, isn't it? So we figured it'd be fun to kind of invite you behind the scenes so that you can understand it's not just you, it's all of us. You can be seen by the realities of the fact that we all struggle to cope at certain times. And hopefully you can laugh a little along the way because we have some doozies, some stories that will make you realize, again, it's not just you, it's all of us.
It is. You are coping in every minute of your life, and figuring out how to do it in a healthy and productive way so you can actually find joy in the struggle is important. And I don't want to be toxic positivity. And that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about how to enjoy life.
So we wanted to bring you into the fold a little bit and explore some of these things in a way that hopefully will help you feel less alone, give you some new tools to put in your toolkit, and again, demonstrate the fact that, like, even when you're an expert at this, coping can be challenging. It's something that plays out every single minute of our day. And if you're not paying attention to it, it will often lead you down a path of burnout, self-sabotage, more conflict, and honestly, the vibes are just not great when you're coping ineffectively.
No.
Doesn't make things easier to cope effectively, but it does make it so that the vibes are better.
Regulated. I mean,
regulated? Yeah, regulated vibes. We're all about that here.
Yeah, all about, well, I like to picture what would the world be if all of us put as much effort as, at least I feel like I do, in staying regulated in day-to-day situations. And I don't mean just the dramatic things that you see at the coffee shop when, they put the wrong, type
the
of
Karens
milk.
freaking out because they put in 2.5 pumps of cupcake versus 2.5 pumps of cake.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, you see that type of thing, but dysregulation also shows up as brain fog, as small things that we don't talk about as much. And so I feel like there needs to be a place where we talk about the challenges that we face in trying to navigate a very uncertain world and uncertain times, but do it with grace and with, some level of joy, because life was never meant to be easy. And whoever set that expectation, well, there's a special place for that person.
No, totally. Like, I started this journey with my own thought leadership about 3 years ago when I wrote my first book called Conscious Coping. And the whole idea behind this book was that I spent a lot of time with my clients realizing that so much stress and strain came from them just not really recognizing or knowing how to cope more effectively with life. And once we shined a light on that, things got, again, not easier for them, but it was more able for them to stay out of their own way with some of this stuff. We were talking about earlier regulated vibes, and I had such a funny image in my head. You know, all those like neon signs and like TJ Maxx signs that say good vibes only.
Yeah.
I think we need to come out with our own that are like regulated vibes only.
Yeah, that would be great. It would be great because, that's really the only thing you can ask of people. Like,
yeah. And even that I would say is a hard ask, because we do expect people to become dysregulated during times. There's a real biological reason for that to happen. But if you're not paying attention, you can end up dysregulated most of the time. And it can cause a lot of pain for you. And it ripples out to your relationships, your family, your peers, your colleagues, your community. I mean, it can go pretty far, pretty fast.
And like we've talked about, it's the reason some people are behind bars. So it's an important thing that is not discussed. It's not discussed in the workplace. And that's where I feel like the people that we are here to serve are suffering the most from it, because dysregulated households are obviously unhealthy but there has been a very big movement for the millennial generation specifically of living in regulated households and the
Yes.
importance. I mean, you see TikToks all day that will say, you know, the richest kid is the one that grew up with regulated parents. I mean, we know the importance of having regulated households, but the biggest outage is the workplace, because in the workplace you have so many more dynamics that influence who you're around, the stress levels, the expectations, and that's the biggest problem is there have never really been clear boundaries in the workplace about staying regulated. And so while regulation is so important and will improve every aspect of your life, really our company spreading change, which you'll hear us talk about, and why we're building it is because work is 8+ hours of your day. If you're lucky, it's
At
8 hours a
least,
day. Yeah.
yeah. Like,
Like,
yeah.
I wish I knew the world of work being 8 hours a day, but it's consuming. And if you're around a bunch of dysregulated people for 8 to 10 hours a day, and then you come home and let's say you're a parent or a caretaker of an elderly, so you're having to regulate like in a healthy way. I mean,
Yeah.
you are as a parent you're supposed to help regulate your children. And so and that's why we're all burned out, and that's why we're all exhausted, and that's why we need to have the conversation, or at least just know there's other people out there that are doing this.
I think the conversation is so important because, like, to your point, I don't think people have known how to talk about this at work, because for a long time we've just seen this as people's personalities.
Yep.
And there is some truth to that. I mean, everybody has different personalities, and you're certainly going to have different chemistry with people. Some people are going to rub you the right way or the wrong way. I guess both.
Yeah.
But maybe not a word. I don't know. Anyway,
the wrong way and rubbing. I don't know.
No, you don't want to do too much of the right way of rubbing at work. That's not probably really where we're at. But the point stands that people just haven't really known how to talk about this stuff. And because they don't know how to talk about it, they don't know how to put boundaries around it. And we're really trying to come out here and develop the language. And look, I'm not telling anybody to stand in front of a dysregulated person and say you're dysregulated, because that will just escalate the system further.
Right.
But if you know in your mind this person is dysregulated and I'm trying to stay regulated, you're going to change how you engage in that situation, right? You're going to change how you take care of yourselves. And that's where we really are trying to come from, is that this is everybody's work. It's everybody's work. And I understand certainly that sometimes this is the type of work that's a pain in your ass.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Right. And you're like, I mean, I cannot even tell you how many times I've heard the little therapist that lives in my freaking head be like, girl, it's time to regulate. And I'm like,
no.
What? No.
Pass.
And unfortunately, she is usually right. I would say 99.9% of the time. But I'm still human. And that's just a part of the piece. But having that voice there helps to prompt me more times than not to adjust my behavior, to adjust my expectations, to adjust my presence in that situation so that I can leave not totally burned out and run over by somebody else's dysregulation. And again, we want to hold compassion for individuals who are dysregulated, and we want to hold accountability. And both of those together is, I think it's uncomfortable for businesses to figure out how to do that. But until they do, and by the way, again, we're here to help. So if you need help, let us know. But if they don't, they're just heading towards a toxic culture where certain people, certain personalities, certain teams even are going to be leading through dysregulation, which is going to create toxicity, burnout, a lot of challenges around productivity, innovation, etc. And if we can just give them the verbiage to understand, then individually we can start to make the change.
I am exhausted. I can't shut my brain off. I don't feel equipped to deal with any of this. And the truth is, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up.
If thoughts like that sound familiar, you're not alone. Cope 365 is here to help you stop the spiral, using a simple, gamified approach that shows you how to cope in ways that actually work. You can stop lashing out, shutting down, or just pretending you're fine while you suffer in silence, and instead learn to regulate, recover, and keep going without burning out or losing your relationships or yourself. Cope 365 is here to help you fortify what matters most, your capacity to endure, so that stress doesn't steal your joy, your health, or your future. Go to cope365.com and enter promo code EMM for 30% off of any of our packages.
What we're trying to do here as well with the podcast is just to give you the verbiage, the language, the tools, the insight, so that you can start doing this work more effectively on your own, but also know you're not alone, because a lot of kind of hilarious things happen on the journey to conscious coping and emotional endurance. We have found. Crimson and I have been working on this project together for a year, almost a year. It's our year.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So part of this is all born from Laurie's thought leadership. She came to me. I worked in politics and marketing and so it just in technology. And so she had built this repository of all this good content on how to cope, because I'm not a therapist. I'm a professional patient. So after years of therapy, she's right. Like, you know, what does homework mean, and how do you, like, when you're in the moment of conflict, you can't call your therapist. Like, you have to learn how to deal with life. At the end of the day, you have to learn how to cope with life. And so it was really cool that she had been building these toolkits of like how to cope, because it's almost like having a therapist on demand. And so it has forced me to actually, I mean, I have been friends with Laurie for 15 or 17 years.
We haven't really done the full math.
I mean, since 2008, summer of 08 is when we met. And so, yeah. And so we've been on a journey together, and I didn't like read her book when she wrote it. I mean, I bought it, but I don't even know where it is. But it forced me to engage in this idea of conscious coping. And it seemed, she knows me, so I can say it to her face. Like, I'm cynical, like, okay,
Yeah.
makes sense. Simple, basic shit, dude. Got it.
Totally.
It
is simple.
because it is simple, basic shit, dude. It really is.
It really is. Like, the execution is the hard part.
Right.
The simplicity, what we're talking about here is, we say that your emotional endurance, which is your ability to get and stay regulated despite whatever dynamic or chaotic environment you exist within. And me and Crimson know a thing or two about dynamic and chaotic environments. But emotional endurance is your ability to do that. And the way that you build emotional endurance is by practicing conscious coping, which is just paying attention to how you're coping with the intention to stay regulated, and building something that's called psychological capital, which are your reserves, your hope, your efficacy, your resilience, your optimism. All of these things together basically create within you an inner toolkit that is going to help you stay regulated. It is simple in concept. And because of that, a lot of people, I feel like, swipe over the material. They don't think it's going to help, which I understand. Again, right. I get it. But the truth is that emotional endurance is not just built because you had one hard day or you've been through one hard thing.
Right.
A lot of us have been through something traumatic or through grief, through these things that are big things. And they certainly help us along this journey of building our emotional endurance. But it can't just be the crises. It can't just be those acute moments. It has to be those micro steps you take that help you in that moment. That's those little bitty things that really ultimately build your strength. It's just like building any other muscle, right? And it is a little uncomfortable at first, and you may not see the results that you want at first, but the more that you practice that, the more you flex that, the more you're going to get where you want to be.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Emotional Endurance Movement. Make sure to like and follow us for more great coping and emotional endurance content. And remember, you're not alone. We'd love to hear from you. Check out the show notes and let us know how you're coping, what you're coping with, and how we can support you.